We continue our CA Hoops Summer School Series presented by Sono Bank, and today we're with the head coach of the Drexel Dragons, Amy Mallon. And Coach, I know we spoke just a few months ago when you were just promoted to the head coaching position, but once again, we're checking in. First of all, how are you doing and those around you during the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, it's good to see you again. Thanks for having me today. And it's been interesting. There hasn't, we talked about, there hasn't been a lot of change, as much change as we'd like to have seen happen so far, but we're hanging in there. It's been an interesting summer. My family, we've been able to do a few little small trips to see other family members, but that's pretty much about it. But it's been interesting. It's in some ways things have flown by. I can't believe it's already August. In other ways it hasn't. So it's been really interesting on our end, but we're hanging in there and just kind of trying to stay positive each day with what's going on within what we have control over. Speaking
of this kind of long pandemic that's now lasted, for a while now, on the brighter side, you said you visited some family, but what other kind of fun things have you done during this break? Has there been a new a show or series you've watched, or a book you've read, or any other events have happened during your time during this pandemic?
I have to say I'm reading a lot of books. I feel like I'm going through, starting them and kind of starting another one. So I have a lot of basketball books, The Back Roads to March by John Feinstein, which has been a fun one just because it has a lot of Philly people in it. But I'd have to say with having 7-year-old twins, we've been catching up on America's Got Talent and World Dance with J-Lo. So we enjoy watching those types of shows as a family. And I'm still working on the Ray Donovan series, which was on Netflix, or Showtime, I think. And that's been going on for 7 seasons, and it's pretty long. So that's pretty much, I'm still in the 5th season, so I'm working through that as well. But those are probably the shows. And then most recently, it's been fun just to be able to watch the WNBA, the NBA, and the Phillies, and the Flyers. They're all on right now. So it's been like a whole new thing in our household at night. I'm flicking from game to game just for the live sports action. So that's been fun to be able to see just most recently.
Absolutely. Us sports folks sticking to our sports. I know we're loving live sports being back, and we can't wait to have you and your team back on the court as well. And speaking of your team, what is the plan moving forward right now? When do you expect to be able to have your team back on campus, and what type of workouts have they been doing, away from campus right now?
So our arrival is in September. We actually, Drexel starts a little bit later anyway due to our academic terms. So our girls will be arriving on campus early September, which is a little change. Usually they're in for summer session, at least one session, and then they go home and come back. But they've been keeping busy. We have a few of our players that are co-oping, so they're working as well as working out. As far as the workouts, it was interesting because when our staff, we talked about summer workouts, it's kind of going back to the old school way. That's how it was when I played. You pretty much went home for the whole summer and you were expected to work out on your own. And that's kind of been our philosophy. Hey, what needs to be done right now. We obviously have guidelines and things that we can send out, that you can actually use as guidance with your workouts. But the expectation is you come in ready to go. You need to be conditioned to a certain extent, and we're gonna, so when we get going, we'll be ready. The other piece that we work on, the team, being together, working on those things will happen. But I think for the summer, I know they're trying to hold each other accountable. It's really through the leadership. We have 3 seniors this year, and Hannah Nihill, Kayla Bacon, and Mariah Leonard, and that's the conversations I meet with them every other week and just talk about how they're holding their teammates accountable. That's really kind of going to be the big piece. We have to come back, and we can't use the COVID virus for why we're not going to do something. That's been my big message to them. It can't be an excuse for why we don't do something. So, I really like what I'm seeing from the group, starting with that aspect, and hopefully, it just continues to be something that they focus on when we get back.
And Coach, obviously this pandemic has come with a lot of, challenges in itself, not being able to see your team this summer. And of course, and one of the challenges have to be some of the newcomers on your team and trying to get them adapted to you. With that challenge, who are some of the newcomers that you expect to maybe, make a splash early on?
We have 4 incoming freshmen. So the one we have from Australia. So that's been a little bit of a harder thing because you have a kid coming from another country. So it's been a little more difficult because of some of the restrictions that have been put on. But Chloe Rogers is she's actually, she plays, their summer is our winter, so they play their seasons now. So she is able to play basketball where she is, which is great because she's getting that piece in. But we're hoping that she's going to be able to arrive to campus safely. And then we have a local, and Erin Sweeney. She's from Archbishop Carroll, which we've had a lot of luck and success with our Archbishop Carroll players in the past, with Holly Mershon, Rachel Pearson, Megan Creighton. We've had several players, Sarah Curran, who have come out of that school. So we feel really lucky that we have another one coming in with Erin Sweeney. So she's local, and she actually gets to see some of our other local players. They are in touch and able to see each other throughout the summer. And then we have Elizabeth Dufresne from Virginia, and she's been working. I know, we have a thing going with our team where we do Motivational Monday, Trick Shot Tuesday, Workout Wednesday, TikTok Thursday. You got to have a TikTok in your week, and then Freaky Friday. And in that, all the freshmen are involved in that. So that's been a nice piece, just to kind of every week you're hearing someone's in charge of whatever that theme is for the day. But Elizabeth's going to bring some energy and just shooting. She can shoot the ball. She's a playmaker. She does a little bit of everything. So I'm excited about Elizabeth. And then Jasmine Valentine, she's from Maryland, and she's our workhorse. So I really think she brings that mentality of she's going to do whatever it takes on the court, get that rebound, that hustle play. And that's something I feel like we've always had a few players who just are really strong in that category, and that just brings everybody else up. So I know she's going to push her teammates every day at practice. So I feel like those 4 incoming freshmen have the work ethic. And I also think they're going to really add right away with, we did lose a lot this year. So we have expectations of the freshmen coming in and contributing right away.
And Coach, that kind of leads me to my next question. How will your team look different this season than last? Obviously, Bailey Greenberg being a big missing piece that, graduated this past year.
Of course, we're going to miss Bailey, and Aubrey Brown, who both as a duo played more minutes than any other two in the history of our program. So they were a 1-2 punch, because Aubrey did a lot to get Bailey the ball, and she knew where she was going to be. And obviously, Bailey's all-around game and performance and just leadership was so key for us over the last, especially the last 2 years with the success we've had. But, we lose 4 seniors, and Nikki Metzel and Anna Ferrari. And I think the key is going to be, I've really said to this group, it's going to be the year we won the regular season 2 years ago. And we lost a lot of 3,000 point scores. We lost a lot of production. And that following year, we end up winning the regular season title with Kelsey Lidge as one of our leaders, because they just wanted to prove that they could win, that they were as good as the group before them. And I think that's got to be the mentality with this group. We're losing a lot of production, a lot of minutes, a lot of success, a lot of wins. And I think this core of seniors has got to say, hey, we got to prove that we can be the best again. And that's got to be the mentality coming in if they want to finish at the top of the league.
And Coach, talk about the CA landscape. Obviously, you've been in this league for a while. How has it changed for this upcoming year?
Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns, just the way our season ended, so there's you hope that the group coming back has some closure to that, and that's part of maybe the motivation they'll have going into this year. So that piece alone, it's something no one's ever had to deal with. And then leading into it is a little bit of the unknown of knowing what's going to happen with the preseason, how we're going to, there's already games on your schedule that are no longer there because you scheduled teams that, like Ivy League teams, who have already canceled games till January. So it's kind of that landscape leading into the conference is like a whole new approach, So I feel like going into conference, that competition, those rivals are going to continue just to thrive, because it's something everyone's going to be so appreciative of being able to be on the court and play a game. I think that's going to be the mentality going into it. So I feel like, the CA as a whole, it's been great. I played in the CA, I've obviously coached going into my 17th year. So I've seen so many changes throughout my time. But, it all comes down to why we do what we do. We obviously love working with the young athletes, but it's also, we play games. We're competitive people. We want to go out, be on the floor, and prove that we can be the best every time we step on the floor, whatever the outcome is. So I think that's not going to change in the CA as far as our approach to another season approaching this year.
Wrapping up today with Drexel head coach Amy Mallon, and Coach, obviously another headline this offseason, unfortunately, the social injustice happening in our country. What have the conversations around your team concerning the social injustice movement and Black Lives Matter been like?
We've definitely committed to keeping those conversations going. And, we bi-weekly, we meet with Kiba Gordon, who's in our HR department, but also head of one of our anti-racism task forces at Drexel. And he really has taken us on as, a chance to speak with us and educate our group as a whole, so we can go out at the same time and, be educated, but also know how to speak and not be silent on what's going on. And I think he's been, working with Kiba. We've now been, since everything headline, we've been meeting with him bi-weekly, and it's, every time it's a little different. It could be watching a show or watching a documentary or just some, a piece that's the education piece. But I also feel like as a whole, our team is committed to making sure that this is a conversation we have throughout the year that's important throughout the CA, which we've had our coaches meetings, and I think everyone has been has been really strong about what they've had to say and making sure that this doesn't this is something that's vital and important to our conference, and we want to make sure we continue to talk about it. We have two of our a staff member and one of our players on our task force committee for the university, so I'm really proud of the work we're going to be doing and continuing to do. And on top, even one of our grad assistants, Kelsey Lidge, who played for us, is now leading a Black student union at the school, which I think, it's an important piece to her and to all of us. And we know, being a team and being visual on campus, that we have a chance to make a difference in our leadership. And so in women's basketball, we feel like we have an opportunity to do that. So we're going to continue to make sure we stay keep those conversations going, keep the dialogue, and just make sure people know we're not going to stand for this injustice, and we're going to, if we can impact and make a difference, we're going to do it.
Okay, Coach Amy Mallon from the Drexel Dragons, thank you so much for joining us. Stay healthy, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see the Dragons out on the court sooner rather than later.
Thanks, Bobby. It was good seeing you.